Hi everyone. So now that we know how to simplify, we are going to be moving on to solving equations. So we're going to start with square root equations. So here is another SAT question. And I also copied the picture on the front of the math section that goes along with this. So they do give you this picture over here to help you. So take a few minutes. What would the length of AD equal? All right, so we need to figure out this and this, right? So the hypotenuse is 12. So if you look at the picture, the hypotenuse is 2x, right? So then what is x equal to? That means x is 6. Now, which one is the x? Is it the short or the long? It's the short. So this is 6, and this is 6, right? Because that's 30, this is 30. Well, that's 30 because this is 60. So this one has to be 30. Angles on a triangle add up to 180. Now, if this was like this, and this was not a 30, this wouldn't work. Those wouldn't necessarily be the same. But in this case, they are. So AD is just 6. Okay, that's it. More complicated would be if they asked for like BD, right? BD, you would have 6 root 3. Right? So it can get a little more complicated. Don't forget about that. Like, just having that picture made this significantly easier. Okay. So we're going to solve for x. Think about, what do you think we should do here? We've kind of done this before, right? We want to get rid of a square root. How do you get rid of a square root? What's the opposite of square rooting something? Squaring something. So we're going to square both sides. Don't forget to actually square it. So the square root and the square undo each other. So 2x minus 3 equals 5 squared, 25. And then it's just basic add and then divide. And we're done. That's it. We are going to work on checking because we do get some weird answers sometimes that actually are not correct. In this case, it does work if you plug into the original. All right, what do you think we have to do for number 2? So now here's the mistake kids make. You're not just going to square both sides. Why do you think you can't square both sides? Because then you would have x plus 4 minus 3 times the square root of x plus 4 minus 3. The square root doesn't end up canceling out. You end up with another square root. So that's not helpful. So you have to isolate your square root before you move anything. You can have stuff underneath, but you have to get there shouldn't be anything outside that square root on that side. So I need to add my 3 first. So I have 11, and then we're going to square both sides. Again, inverse of a square root is a square. So x plus 4 equals 121. So x equals 117. And we can check by plugging into the original. 117 plus 4 minus 3. It's 121. Square root of 121 is 11. 11 minus 3 is 8. That's what they had, so it works. Okay, so try these a little harder. Isolate your square root and then solve, and then square both sides. Right? Make sure you isolate your square root. So what do you think we should do here? If you ever get stuck, think of it like this way. 3 minus 2a equals 27. What would I do first? Subtract my 3 and then divide by my negative 2. So I'm going to subtract my 3, so negative 2. X plus 4 equals 24. Divide by negative 2. Square both sides. X plus 4 equals 144. So x equals 140. Now the same thing over here. We're going to subtract first. Green, negative 8, x plus 4 equals negative 16. Divide by that negative 8, x plus 4, square root of x plus 4 equals 2. Square both sides, x plus 4 equals 4, so x equals 0. All right, we have a problem. One of these is actually didn't work. It actually is one of these is a no solution. So I want you to plug into the original problem and figure out which one of these is actually a no solution problem. A lot of kids would say it's the 0, but it's not. 0 works. If I plug in 0, 5 minus 8 root 4 equals negative 11. 8 times the square root of 4 is 2. 5 minus 16 is negative 11. That works. However, over here, we have 3 minus 2 root 144. 3 minus 2 times 12. 3 minus 24 is not 27. That's negative 21. So this is actually no solution. Is there a spot where we can tell that there will be no solution? There actually is a spot. Look at this right here before we squared it. Can a square root ever be negative? The square root of what number gives you a negative? Nothing. You're going to have imaginary, that's where imaginary numbers, like you can't do that. You can never take a square root and the answer be negative. So whenever you isolate, you want to check, is my answer negative? Because at this point, you can just say, oh, this is not going to, there's going to be no solution when you get to this step right here. All right, now getting a little harder because we have some, we're going to have quadratic solutions. All right, so same process. I'm going to move the x so that I isolate my 3x plus 4. Now, how do I get rid of the square root? I square both sides. So x squared equals 3x plus 4. How do we solve that? Bring everything to where x squared is. So minus 3x minus 4, and then we're going to factor and solve. So it's an m's. And typically I don't give like quadratic formula. They're usually factorable. So multiply to negative 4, combine to negative 3, 4 and 1. So we got x minus 4, x plus 1 equals 0, and then x equals 4, x equals negative 1. Now we have to plug in to check. Sometimes one of these don't work. Sometimes they both work, so you do have to plug in to check. So I'm going to start with the 4. So that's the square root. Let's see. 12, 16 minus 4 equals 0. Okay, that does work. And then when I plug in negative 1, let's see. That's the square root of 1 minus negative 1 equals 0. Does that work? That does not. That gives you 2. That's 1 plus 1 is 0. So this one did not work. Do not fall into the trap that the negative 1 never works. That's actually not true. So be really careful. It's true a lot of the time, but it's not 100%. So don't fall into those traps of, oh, it's always this. It's not. You should always check every single time. All right, so pause and try this one on your own. All right, so I'm isolating my square root. To get rid of the square root, we square both sides. Now, another trap here. What is x plus 4 squared? That's x plus 4 times x plus 4. Make sure you FOIL that out. Distribute. You get x squared plus 8x plus 16. Then I'm going to subtract the 2 and add the x. So x squared plus 9x plus 14. Again, this is just a basic MC chart. X plus 2 times x plus 7. Multiply to 14. Combined to 9 is 2 and 7. So then, in this case, both of them are negative. Ooh, let's see, do they both work? Does one of them work? Honestly, I haven't done this problem in a really long time, so I don't remember. All right, x equals negative 2. Let's see. So we have a square root. 2 minus negative 2 is a 4. Minus negative 2 equals 4. That does work. That's 2 plus 2. So that one's a check. Now x equals negative 7. Let's see if this one works. So that is 9. Right? Minus negative 7 equals 4. 3 plus 7 does not equal 4. So this one does not work. Sad face. Negative 7 does not actually work in this case. All right, same process. Take a few minutes, try to solve this on your own. All right, so I got my 3x squared plus 61. I'm moving that 2x to the other side. And then I'm going to square both sides. So 3x squared plus 6 equals, let's see, 2x plus 6 times 2x plus 6. It's 4x squared. That's 12 and 12. 24x plus 36. Now I'm going to subtract to get 0 on one side, which ends up being nice. X squared plus 24x plus 30. What multiplies to 30 and combines to 24? 2 and 15, 3 and 10, 5 and 6. Ooh. Does this not factor? Uh-oh. Or did I do that wrong? 12? No, 12 and 12 is 24. Uh-oh. Oh, that's 61. Oh, 61. You know, the number of times I make a silly mistake. That's minus 25. All right. At least I found my mistake. Okay, so that's factorable. X plus 25, x minus 1. So we got x equals negative 25, x equals positive 1. See what happens here? Negative 25. Ooh, okay, so let's see. That's not going to... Oh, 25 squared is 625. 625, let's see. 25 squared times 3 plus 61. That's the square root of 1936 plus 50 equal. There's no way that's going to work. That one definitely. I don't even have to do the work to figure that out. Let's check 1. 3 plus 61 minus 2 equals 6. 8 minus 2 equals 6. Okay, so that one works. So x equals 1 is our only answer. So negative 25 does not work. I don't have a good way to represent it doesn't work, so I always just draw a sad face because... Okay, now we're getting into the more challenging ones. So these are the hard ones. So here's the issue. If you try to square the z's, the two radicals, let's say we have radical 2 plus radical 3, and we square it. Right? When you FOIL that out or multiply that out, all the square roots don't go away. You get the 4 and the 9, 3. Square root of 4 is square root of 9. Wow, my brain. Those go away. However, your middle term, you get root 6 and root 6. So they don't cancel. So you have to break this up, and we're going to have to do this twice. Right? we have to get rid of one of the square roots, simplify, and then get rid of the other square roots. This one is a lot more complicated than the others. So it doesn't actually matter how you start. I just pick whatever I think is easiest. So I'm going to do z minus 6 equals z plus 9 minus 3. So I'm going to square both sides here. So z minus 6 equals, so this is z plus 9 minus 3 times z plus 9 minus 3. All right, so z plus 9 times z plus 9 is z plus 9. And then we have 3 z plus 9 minus 3 z plus 9. Right, that's the end. And then plus 9. All right, so now we're going to simplify. I've got this 9 and this 9 need to go to the other side. So let's see, negative 6 minus 18 is negative 24. And then the z's cancel? Oh, yeah. Those z's end up canceling, so negative 24 equals negative 6 root z plus 9. The square root of z plus 9 equals 4. Square both sides. (16) equals z plus 9, and that, so z is 7. And then we can plug in to check, right? If I plug in 7, I get the square root of 1 minus the square root of 16 plus 3. So that's 1 minus 4 plus 3 equals 0, so that does work. Oh man, that was way easier. I thought I did this problem wrong earlier. I dropped this plus 9, and it was like quadratic formula. It was terrible. So be careful. It's really easy to make a silly mistake. So the hard part was the FOIL here. But if the variable disappears, it's not so bad. But if you had to like FOIL out this left side a second time, that's frustrating. All right, I want you to try this one on your own. See if you can figure this one out. Same process. So we start by squaring both sides. So pause the video and try it. At least try some of it. So I got 3v plus 1 equals. So FOIL. 2 times 2 is 4. Plus 4 root 2v minus 7 plus 2v minus 7. Right. So I just did the FOIL in my head. Now we're going to isolate this right side. Let's see, I got 4 and negative 7, so that gives me negative 3, so this becomes a 4. And then subtract 2v on both sides, and we get v. Equals 4, 2v minus 7. Now I'm going to square both sides. So this one is a little harder. Square both sides. All right, so 4 squared is 16 times 2v minus 7. And then v plus 4 quantity squared, that's v squared, plus 8v plus 16. Distribute. Ugh. 7 times 16. I don't feel like doing that in my head. 16 times 7, 112. So this is one where it's super annoying. See, v squared minus 24v plus 16 and 112, 128. So that actually is factorable. 128 is 8 and 16, which adds up. So v minus 8, v minus 16. So v equals 8, v equals 16. So now we got to plug in and see which one works. So negative 2 minus the square root. If I plug in 8, square root of 9, So that's -5 equals the square root, which is not going to work. So the 8 doesn't work. And actually, because of these negatives, the 16 isn't going to work either. So there's actually no solution. All that work for no solution. I love this problem every year. Torturing you with a hard problem, and then it doesn't even work. No solution. Okay, so now we're getting into something quite a little different. So we're going to use the distance formula. So see, if you remember the distance formula, it's the square root of x1 minus x2 squared, y1 minus y2 squared. Once you know that, this is actually not that hard. So they're saying the distance from -2, 12 to x6 is root 37. So my distance is root 37. So you can label these however you want. I'm going to do x minus -2 squared plus 6 minus 12 squared. So root 37 equals the square root x plus 2 squared plus, that's -6 squared, 36. Now this looks scary, but notice that our square roots are by themselves. So when we square both sides, we just get 37 equals x plus 2 squared plus 36. A couple ways to do this. I'm going to subtract 36. 1 equals x plus 2 squared. This is a little, you could just take the square root of both sides if you want. If you want to multiply out and then factor, you can. But this is a pretty nice answer. So x plus 2 equals plus or minus 1. So we get x equals -1, x equals -3, and then plug in to check to see if that works. The whole squaring, rooting both sides and squaring both sides could throw your answer off. Let's see, where should we plug in? Probably plug into the, like here before you take the square root. So if I plug in -1, I get 1 squared. So that's 1 plus 36 is 37. If I plug in -3, so this actually both of these do work. Right. So I have two answers. All right, find the point on the x-axis that is equidistant from -2, 5, and 4, 2. Again, equidistance, that's a distance formula, right? So equal distance. So what we're going to do here is set our x1 minus x2 squared, y1 minus y2 squared equal to the square root of x1 minus x2 squared, y1 minus y2 squared. Right. So we're going to set those equal. So a point on the x-axis, what do we know about points on the x-axis? So x, but what's the y value? The y is 0, right? So here's what we're going to do. Square root, I'm going to use x, so x minus 2, so plus 2 squared, plus 5 minus 0 squared. So I'm replacing my y with 0, and then it's really, it doesn't matter. I put 0 in the wrong spot, technically. Let's do this. I'm going to put 0 here, x 0 here. So technically this is supposed to be reversed, just to keep with the consistency. It won't matter in the end. And then same thing over here. So x minus 4 squared plus 0 minus 2 squared. So we're just replacing one of them with x comma 0. So notice the square roots will cancel out again. So I have x plus 2 squared plus 25 equals x minus 4 squared plus 4. Multiply out. The x squareds end up going away. So 4x plus 29 equals negative 8x plus 20. 12x equals negative 9. So x is negative 9/12. What is that? Negative 3/4. Hopefully that works. All right, we're going to skip this last one. We've done enough. Lesson's really long. All right, homework, practice. Have a great day.